A tragic love story, the case of Michael and Julie Harding. Michael and Julie Harding seemed to have it all: a loving marriage, a stable home, and respect in their community. Michael, a decorated law enforcement officer in Tennessee, was seen as a figure of authority and order. Julie, on the other hand, was admired for her warm personality, devotion to her children, and dedication as a wife. Behind closed doors, however, cracks had begun to form in their relationship. What started as a seemingly perfect union became marked by tension, emotional disengagement, and growing resentment. What no one could have foreseen, however, was just how dark and twisted their story would become: a tale of betrayal, murder, and untamed obsession. Julie's outward kindness masked a private struggle. She had long been dissatisfied within her marriage, overwhelmed by the increasing volatility of their relationship. Reports suggested that arguments were frequent, emotional connections began to wane, and their bond was slowly but steadily eroding. By 2022, Julie decided she could no longer stay in the marriage. Taking steps to protect her emotional well-being and that of her children, she made the brave decision to file for divorce. This difficult choice marked the beginning of a tragic chain of events. Julie's separation from Michael might have offered her the hope of a new beginning, but for Michael it triggered a deep emotional breakdown. Once stable and respected, he began to lose control, setting him on a dangerous and irreversible path. Amidst the turmoil of her divorce, Julie sought solace in a fresh relationship with a new romantic partner, Thomas Francis O'Donnell. Her willingness to explore love again gave her strength and provided reasons to hope for a better future. However, this new chapter for Julie only pushed Michael further into despair. Although he had stood as a pillar of law enforcement for years, serving his community with distinction, this personal turmoil shook him to his core. Michael's jealousy over Julie's newfound happiness evolved gradually but dangerously. The thought of his wife moving on, finding joy without him, consumed him. To his colleagues, the decorated officer they once trusted was utterly transformed, his professional demeanor unraveling behind closed doors. What at first appeared to be mild emotional distress rapidly became a downward spiral of obsession and anger. Several warning signs emerged in the months following their separation. Michael's behavior became increasingly erratic, and his once patient temperament was replaced by short rages and moments of inexplicable intensity. He began to monitor Julie obsessively, studying her social media accounts, following her movements, and even making unannounced visits to her home. Michael's colleagues recalled how he became distant and preoccupied with his private turmoil. Though always considered a professional, his ability to mask the inner chaos was slipping. Friends and coworkers alike failed to recognize the seriousness of the situation. Many dismissed his erratic changes as temporary symptoms of heartbreak. Yet behind this facade, Michael was quietly plotting his revenge. On December 10, 2022, the extent of Michael's obsession revealed itself, sending shockwaves through the community. Tennessee authorities had conducted a welfare check at Julie's residence. What they discovered behind the walls of her once loving home changed everything. Julie lay lifeless, a victim of a gunshot wound inflicted in cold blood. News of Julie's death horrified those who knew her. Details of the crime quickly emerged, pointing toward calculated murder fueled by jealousy and rage. As investigators pieced together the timeline leading up to this moment, it became clear that this was no spontaneous outburst. Julie's death bore the hallmarks of a deliberate act painstakingly planned by someone unwilling to let her go. Julie's murder wasn't the only tragedy investigators uncovered. As they delved further, law enforcement unearthed an eerie connection to another violent death, the case of Thomas Francis O'Donnell, Julie's new partner. Thomas had been found shot to death in his California residence just weeks earlier, a crime that sent investigators searching for answers. The connection seemed undeniable. Michael Harding, fueled by his obsession and desperation, had allegedly tracked Julie and Thomas across state lines. The evidence painted a chilling picture of jealousy morphing into calculated revenge. Haunted by the vision of Julie moving forward without him, Michael's emotions seemed to blur every moral boundary. The killings appeared carefully staged, leaving few traces and no loose ends, except for glimpses of his obsessive behavior in the lead-up to the tragedies. As the authorities closed in on their suspect, Michael was backed into an inescapable corner. The burden of guilt, coupled with the inevitability of facing justice, weighed heavily on him. With his world unraveling, Michael faced a grim choice: confront the consequences of the destruction he had caused or take control of his fate in one last, tragic gesture. Just hours after Julie's lifeless body was discovered, the search for Michael reached its own devastating conclusion. Authorities found him dead in Kentucky, having taken his own life. This final act left behind more questions than answers. Was Michael overwhelmed by guilt? Did he recognize the devastation he caused too late? Or had he planned this finale all along, determined to write his own ending? Whatever the reason, his death marked the concluding chapter of a harrowing story. The case of Michael and Julie Harding is much more than a crime story. It's a profound tragedy that underscores the fragility of human relationships when poisoned by toxicity and obsession. It's a stark reminder of how love, when unchecked by rationality and clouded by possessiveness, can transform into something unrecognizably dark. For Julie and her loved ones, the promise of a brighter future was stolen, leaving only grief in its place. For Michael, his inability to let go cost him everything: his career, his reputation, and ultimately his life. These events also illustrate the missed opportunities to recognize and intervene when toxic behaviors spiral into danger. Far too often, warning signs in troubled relationships go unheeded. In this case, the outwardly strong image Michael embodied as a law enforcement officer may have masked the depth of his struggles, making it harder for those around him to see the extent of his decline. If anything, this tragedy underscores the need for more serious measures to identify and respond to psychological and emotional warning signs before they escalate into violence. For the families of Michael and Julie Harding, the echoes of this nightmare will resonate for years to come. Their story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of possessiveness, unchecked emotional struggles, and the inability to let go when relationships fall apart. It also highlights the importance of seeking help, whether through counseling, conflict resolution, or intervention from friends and family, before tragedy strikes. One of the most poignant aspects of this case is its ability to disarm assumptions about safety and morality. Even those trusted to protect and uphold the law are not immune to the darkness of human emotions. As the line between hero and perpetrator blurs, we are reminded that unchecked feelings, anger, jealousy, obsession, can drive even the strongest among us to the brink. In the aftermath, it's essential to reflect on how such incidents can be prevented in the future. Recognizing red flags, including controlling behaviors, emotional instability, and dismissiveness about others' happiness, may help save lives. Encouraging open conversations about mental health and fostering supportive systems for those struggling with heartbreak are key pillars to overcoming these challenges. Communities, too, must remain vigilant. Domestic violence advocacy organizations, law enforcement agencies, and mental health professionals have critical roles to play in promoting awareness and providing resources where needed. The ripple effect of one tragedy, as seen in this story, has far-reaching consequences that devastate everyone involved. The story of Michael and Julie Harding will forever stand as a haunting testament to the dangers of toxic, obsessive emotions left unchecked. Love, in its healthiest form, is a celebration of commitment and understanding. When it becomes controlled by fear and desperation, it carries the power to destroy lives. For the friends, families, and communities affected, this case is a grim reminder that even the most trusted individuals, in this case, a law enforcement officer who swore to protect, are not immune to reaching the darkest depths of human behavior. It leaves behind heartbroken children, loved ones searching for closure, and an indelible mark on everyone caught in the storm. This lasting lesson is clear. We must take emotional well-being seriously, treat warning signs with urgency, and promote open, unashamed dialogue about mental health struggles in order to prevent catastrophes like this from happening again.